Welcome back. Today, we're diving into something that affects devices we all use every single day: the key fobs for our cars and the remotes for our gates and garages. It's a really interesting corner of the radio jamming world, so let's get right into it. Okay, before we jump in, a quick but important note. This is the third part of a big 20-part tutorial. It's all based on a really comprehensive report from RFI detectives. The entire point here is educational. We're here to help you, the RF technicians, get better at identifying, locating, and reporting illegal jamming signals. And we have to be super clear. Using jamming equipment is illegal almost everywhere and comes with some serious penalties.
All right, let's start with a scenario that I guarantee has happened to pretty much all of us.
So, picture this. You're walking away from your car. You hit the lock button on your key fob and nothing. You press it again, maybe hold it a little closer. Still nothing. Your first thought, right? Ugh, the battery's dead. But what if it's not? What if something is actively blocking your signal? And that is where you, the RF technician, come into play. For you, this isn't just an everyday annoyance. It's a diagnostic puzzle. Being able to tell the difference between a simple equipment failure and deliberate, malicious interference, well, that's an absolutely crucial skill in our line of work. So, if it is deliberate jamming, how's it actually done? Let's open up the jammer's toolbox and look at the 3 most common ways they disrupt these little low-power remote signals. We're going to look at 3 main attacks. There's the continuous wave, or CW carrier. Then there's the slightly more advanced pulse jamming, and finally, a really clever low-tech method called the dead key attack. Let's break each of these down. First up is the continuous wave carrier. Think of this as the brute force method. It's like you're trying to whisper to a friend across the room, but someone is standing right next to them screaming a single, loud, continuous note. That's what a CW jammer does. It just blasts the frequency with so much noise that your little key fob signal gets completely lost. Next, we have pulse jamming. This is a bit more surgical. Instead of a constant scream, this is more like someone clapping their hands loudly right when you try to say a word. It sends out these short, powerful bursts of energy that are designed to mess up the data packets coming from your remote. It's more efficient for the jammer, and honestly, a lot trickier to spot. And finally, we have the dead key attack, which is kind of brilliant in its simplicity. You don't need any special gear for this. An attacker can literally just take a regular key fob, press and hold down a button, and that's it. The remote just keeps transmitting a constant carrier wave, which basically hogs the whole frequency and blocks anyone else's remote from working. It's a super low-tech but really effective attack. Okay, so we've got the theory down, but how does this actually play out in the real world? Let's walk through a classic criminal use case. So, here's how it goes down. A driver gets out of their car, and just as they press the lock button, a thief nearby turns on a jammer. The lock signal is completely blocked. Now, the driver might hear the click from their fob or even see the lights flash, so they just assume everything's fine. They walk away, thinking their car is secure, when in reality, it's unlocked and wide open for the thief to just waltz right in. And as the RFI detective's report puts it, the real danger is in that gap between what the driver thinks happened and what actually happened. The driver feels safe, but their car is totally vulnerable. So, this brings us to the critical question. How do we as technicians actually spot this? Okay, this is the most important part for us out in the field, the diagnostics. What are the telltale RF signatures we need to be hunting for? So when you have your spectrum analyzer out, here's what to keep an eye on. See a persistent, unmodulated carrier wave just sitting there on the frequency? That's a huge red flag for a CW or dead key attack. Seeing short, sharp bursts of energy? That's probably pulse jamming. A huge clue is that this kind of interference is almost always localized. It'll be a problem in one corner of the parking lot, but fine in another. And finally, unlike random equipment failure, the signal loss is sudden, and you might even be able to correlate it with someone or some car that just showed up nearby. And at the end of the day, understanding these signatures is what it's all about. The whole goal of this tutorial series from RFI Detectives is to give you the tools you need to sharpen those diagnostic skills, so you can go from just suspecting interference to actually proving it with data. So I'll leave you with this final thought. We just saw how incredibly easy it is to defeat a simple system like a key fob, sometimes with no special equipment at all. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What does that imply about the security of all the other, more critical, more complex wireless systems that we depend on every single day? We'll dig into that a little more in our next part.